Hello and welcome to the Mum's Guide to Money. In this, our second of 30 days of maternity leave budgeting and planning tips, I'm going to cover for you today, can maternity leave start after my due date? So my name's Charlene Smith. I'm the author of the book The Mum's Guide to Money, and I also write a blog on the topic, so if you've got any questions relating to maternity leave, whether it's how to save money, how to budget, understanding what your entitlements are, I cover most of those topics in my book and on my blog. So you're in the right place if you're planning a baby, so you might not understand the rules, you might not even have thought about whether or not you can afford to have a baby, and all of the topics I cover are all things you could be thinking about and using to help sort of formulate a plan as to of having a child. You might already be expecting, so you're completely confused about what you need to do to prepare for maternity leave. It is an absolute minefield, so I do cover loads of topics that you'll be interested in, so that you can get your money in order. So very importantly, doesn't happen to you what happened to me, and you don't run out of money on maternity leave. You might already be on maternity, so everything's a bit of a shock. You don't really have a plan, you don't know what to expect financially, and you're kind of sort of waiting for that day to come when maternity pay stops, and then you're going to wonder what you need to do next. So today, like I said, this is day 2 of my 30 days. Can maternity leave start after my due date? So when can I actually start my maternity leave? So with everything I cover, I'm based in the UK, so the rules are obviously very specific here, but there's no reason why you can't go and do the research applicable to your home country. So I'm Charlene. I'm obviously a mum of 3. I've had two pregnancies, 2 maternity leaves, so I know that maths doesn't stack up. But I was blessed with twins the second time around, so I know what it's like trying to stretch my maternity pay a very long way. I'm an author, a blogger, and an accountant, so I do lots of maths is my job, and I know lots of people don't like it, so I try to bake that into my writing, and I try to really help my readers out so they don't have to worry about the number side of things. So I started writing my book probably last summer, like everyone. I'd kind of given up on Couch to 5k. I'm not a fan of banana bread, so I was kind of running out of things to do in my spare time, especially as the summer came to an end. So I started my blog, and then had a bit of a brainwave about turning it into a book. So that's what I've done for the first half of this year, on top of everything else that I fit into my day. So my main aim is to help you financially plan and prepare for your maternity leave. So taking the time to step through all of the different things you need to think about, because it's really important that you have a plan, especially in those early days when you can feel quite flush because you're not having to go to work, baby's not here yet. There's lots of nice things you could be buying for them in the shop. But then very quickly you'll soon realise that those nice paydays and the money that you used to survive on for a month now has to last you significantly longer. So maternity leave, and can I start it after my due date? So the rules around maternity leave are covered by the law, which is really important because it's formalised, and it not only protects you, but it gives your employer a set of guidelines to follow. And that makes sure that you're treated fairly, your colleagues are treated fairly, and your employer has half a chance to get things right for you. Because if it was chopping and changing all the time, it'd be very difficult for them to get your pay correct, to be able to recruit people to fill your role while you're on maternity leave, and to make general plans for their business. So it is covered by law. The rules are there to protect you and to help your employer as well, because at the end of the day they still have to run their business. Maternity leave, so it can start any time in the 11 weeks prior to your due date. So when you've had your first scan, you'll be given a due date. and you should be able to work from there. But it's really important that you think about this, because as soon as your maternity leave starts, your pay has to start as well. And that, like I said, might be nice in the early days, and when you might be getting before your statutory maternity kicks in, and you might feel quite flush with cash. You haven't got a lot of money going out, and you're kind of sort of sat resting, waiting for the baby to come. But you really don't want to be starting that maternity leave too early. So as I said, so why should I hold off my start date? So maternity leave officially ends after 52 weeks, so it can't go any longer. There are other things you can do, which I'll cover in other tips. But the sooner it starts, the sooner it ends. So if you start too early, you might be forced back to work before you're ready. Your baby might be very small. You might not be quite. You might not feel ready. It might not be the right time for you or your family for you to go back to work. So try and, if everything's going well, try and hold off as long as possible to start your maternity leave. But having said that, your maternity leave and your pay has to start on your due date at the latest. So you can delay it up until that point, but you can't delay it any longer. So if your baby is early, obviously your maternity pay and leave will start on the day that they were born. So if you have a premature baby, or your baby's very young, it's really important to sort of to keep these things. You're sort of in that sort of 3-month early bracket. They will be quite small when you will be legally required to go back to work. So make sure, if that's even on the cards, that you are making plans to make sure that you're comfortable with that situation. On the other hand, if your baby is late, your maternity leave still has to start on your due date. So in my own situation, so my oldest was 2 weeks late, started as he meant to go on. So I took annual leave up until my due date, so 2 weeks of annual leave up to my due date. Maternity leave had to start the day he was due, but he didn't arrive for another 2 weeks. So that was the latest that I could do it. So if you're sort of thinking about what your due date is, when you might start maternity leave, tell me in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. If you've got any questions, here to answer them for you. Like I said, baby is late, and I have been desperate to finish work scenario, and I've also been in the babies are coming early, you need to finish work very soon scenario as well. So got experience of both situations. So that's just one of the tips that I've covered. This is the second of 30 days of maternity leave money and sort of planning tips that I'm going to give you. So I'm not a medical person, so I'm not here to give you medical advice. It's all around money and simple budgeting, saving, ways to save money, buying things for the baby, what to buy, what not to buy, how to plan. All of those things that for lots of people doesn't come naturally to them. They haven't even thought about it. So my book is available on Amazon, and I know you're probably thinking, but I don't want to shop from Amazon. But the reason I sell it there is because it means you can buy it on Kindle. So if you want it delivered to your tablet device, means you can sort of sit and put your feet up and read the book. Similarly, if you want, is available on paperback, and it's a very very simple, very easy reading, sort of 10-step process to get you into the headspace of thinking about how long should I have maternity leave, what sorts of information do I need to get together to make my budget, am I likely to run out of money, how much money should I save, what do I need to buy for the baby? Should I go back to work? What can I do to prepare in the last 3 months? What childcare options do I have? how do I get everybody out of the house and get to work each day, and all of those sorts of things. I write from my own experience, and hopefully can answer most of your questions in the book. So in addition to the book, I have some bonus content. So this is available on my website, and it is the information that's in the book. So as you're reading through, it's guiding you through the different bits of information you need to get together, and it's helping you sort of formulate your budget, your plan, and then the information on my website is somewhere for you to scribble. So there's a planner which and print at your leisure, and that's yours. I don't save any information. You can take that away, and it helps you to work through all the different steps that I talk about in the book, around sort of finding out what your maternity leave entitlements are, what maternity pay you're entitled to, and sort of everything in between. So it's a good sort of almost I think 60-page document, and there's loads of places for you to write your thoughts down and come up with a plan. So within that file that you download is also a link to my maternity leave budget and savings calculator. So again, I've tried to do all the heavy lifting from a maths point of view for you. So you can save your own copy, and then you can go away and just plug all of your information in there, and it will help you figure out when the tough points are going to be. So when is it you're likely going to run out of money for maternity leave? What do you need to think about saving? What sort of budget do you need to get the nursery together? It sort of helps you categorise your expenses, guides you through some ways to look to save money, and lots of other things. So it's fairly simple to use, and all of that stuff, sort of valued at just under £60, is available free from my website, but you really do need to get the book to sort of guide you through, or you might be a little bit lost. So on the screen at the moment you can see sort of some insight, a couple of examples from my budget and savings calculator. So it really it helps you think about how much money you need to save, how many paydays do you have left to save it, what are some changes you can make to help you get to your savings goal. Is it not buying a coffee every day? Is it not buying my lunch every day? Is it not buying a pair of shoes every other week? Helping you to sort of go through that thought process. So the planner, you can see here, these are the sorts of topics it takes you through. So gathering all of the information from your work, maternity rules and policies. It's going to take you through the process of thinking about how long you should have for maternity leave. It's going to guide you through how you can get the most possible income legally for maternity leave. So thinking about all of the different sources of income you can have. Reducing your expenses. So maternity leave is ever a time to cut back on unnecessary spending. Remember, it's just for a year. So if you can put anything off, and it guides you through all of that, takes you through some activities and things you can think about, so that you can get towards your savings goal. It helps you come up with some other ideas around saving money for maternity leave. So challenge you to some tweaks you can make to things, different sort of goals you can work towards, so that you can get towards your maternity leave savings goal. It talks about buying things for your baby. So what do you need? What did you spend? It's got a planner. You can tick things off when you've bought them. You can write out what do you need, how much of each size, have you washed it, are you going to buy it second hand, are you going to ask it on a gift list, and so on. So all the different things. It's your kind of complete guide to preparing sort of in a non-medical way for the arrival of your baby. So all the different things from a money and kind of logistics point of view. It talks about childcare, so do you need to do anything? Do you need to investigate what your options are now? Do you need to get on a list, etc.? My favourite one is around maintaining a normal life. So, you can't take a baby to a Michelin star restaurant, but you could do this instead. Sort of how to go on holiday, all those kinds of things. And then finally, it talks you through sort of some preparation activities for the last few months. And these are kind of non-medical things, so obviously your medical team will advise you on those. But mine's more around sort of from my experience, what did I do, what was helpful, plenty of checklists and lists of things for you to go and do ready before. So thank you for listening. You can find me on all the usual social media places. So I'm quite active on Instagram, so you can find me at Mum's Guide to Money, or on this Facebook page. So come back tomorrow, similar time between sort of 8:30 and 9 UK time. I'll be sharing my next batch of tips around financially planning and preparing for maternity leave. I hope it's been useful. I'll share the link to in the comments on the post. And thank you for listening. Look forward to seeing you soon.